other folks like yourself. So I hope you don't mind that. I believe we just started the recording. But again, welcome. Very, very happy to have you. This is such an important topic to understand, especially as you're about to make even more money in tech, is managing your finances and adopting better money habits to make more money, or better said, more wealth, right? So, wealth is bigger than money. Wealth is a system of improving one's finances, right? So, you all are in great hands, as you know from last week. So I will step back. Actually, unfortunately, we'll have to drop for another meeting, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Miss Jerry Lee. But thank you all for joining, and hope you all have a great session.
Thank you so much, Odie. Really excited. Everybody, I don't know who was here last time, but just a show of hands, if you guys can really quick show me who might have been here last time, just so I know who all is here. Good, awesome, love it. All right, so we're gonna hopefully my technology is a little bit more cooperative this time than it was last time. Um, I usually use Zoom, so let's rock and roll. And I know dead air is never a good thing, but for some reason it's not letting me show um, my PowerPoint. Okay, so we're going to do this while I go ahead and navigate that a little bit. Why don't you guys like go around the room? So Chad already shared real quickly, but why don't you guys just go around the horn and let me know if you did the homework. I don't necessarily need to know the answers of that homework because this is very personal stuff that we're talking through here today. But why don't you guys just go ahead and share maybe one key takeaway that you guys took from doing that homework exercise? And if you didn't do the homework exercise, no shame in that either, because in my personal opinion, there's a reason why we didn't do it. And it doesn't have to do with time because we always find time to do the things that are important to us. So if there was something that you're like, look, Jerry, that just felt like way too personal for me to do it, or it felt overwhelming or whatever, and I just didn't get to it, feel free to share. So I'll let you guys go ahead and while I get that PowerPoint up and running. Why don't you guys just go around the room and share what you guys got out of the exercise last week? No, don't all jump at once. Chad, I'm going to ask you to go first since you already sort of shared a little bit.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I was talking about earlier the exploring your money story questions. Going through some of those, it kind of put me in a personal rabbit hole where I was just like, oh, well, I'll start with the when people brought up money at my house, it would feel like, etc. And I had to sit and think about that and like, did anyone actually bring up money or bring up finances? And then that led down a wonderful rabbit hole of a few other things that I was just like, oh, that a whole bunch of things connect in your life that you don't think connect. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of, so I was just like, oh, these questions was like a mini therapy session for me for a little bit as I was running through them and actually trying to delve into the answers for me
Mm-hmm.
personally. So I was just like, all right, some things you have to work on personally and some things that you have to kind of shake off and understand. Okay, I know where a particular mindset and how I treat money or how I treat um, things that I have attachments to. So yeah, it worked out in letting me write down and journal how to distinguish separating your preconceived notion of money and also the how you function emotionally with it. Separate the two. Money is not emotional, so that was something I took for it.
Love that. Absolutely, right? And when we remove the emotion from money, then we're able to make these logical decisions around our money. And that's not to say that money doesn't have emotion tied to it. But when we're able to remove the emotion, then we can like take a step back, take a breather and say, okay, like what's driving this decision that I'm making? So thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Anybody else want to share a little bit about what they were able to get out of the exercise for the homework piece?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off what Chad said. I mean, it's very when you start thinking things like how far back was it when you first understood money or heard money. I mean, it's really an emotional attachment, right? We grow over time and have this emotional attachment, but starting young, some things that were said when you were young that you did not understand until you got into your 20s or your 30s or even now, you know what I mean? So but thinking going far back to think about money in general, it just a lot of memories start to swirl. And when you tie it back, like for me personally, I tie it back to my mother and the mailman. Like, so that's my first experience with money is the mailman. And I don't know, for my generation, this is before direct deposit. This is before Cash App. Okay, we talking about the 80s, right? And in the mid 80s, early to mid 80s, the mailman brought your check to your house. So when my mother was looking for the mailman, I quickly understood that when the mailman did his job and he showed up, he delivered, and it was the check on payday, that I got everything that I wanted.
Mm.
And so me being, I was the only child, so it's like I equated the mailman with money and
Mm.
fun and all the things that I wanted as a kid. And so I love the mailman to this day, even though he doesn't bring my check. But it's just a kind of it's weird because I understand now why I get excited when I see the mail being delivered, even
Yeah.
though now it's bills, a lot of times. But I still have this fondness for I have great relationships with my mail carrier. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
going back to a childhood, that meant a lot to me. The mailman meant a lot. So that's just one of those things that resonated with me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And you can sort of take that a step further either side. Like, what if their relationship with the mailman was that their parents were upset because all it did was deliver bills, so to speak, right? So then they don't check the mail because they're stressed about what's going to be in there, even though they know they might have enough money in their bank account, or even though they might know, like, rationally there's enough. But the stress, maybe as a child, seeing their parents, or maybe in their 20s or whatever, that like opening up that mailbox created for them. Or on the other side, they love the mailman so much that they order all kinds of stuff online and off of Amazon and stuff like that because they want to see the mailman. So
Super
it's
psychological, yeah,
a
it is.
million percent. So I appreciate you sharing that experience with us. Anybody else? So we'll go ahead and move forward unless anybody else has anything to share. But thank you, gentlemen. And so, these are those things that maybe you've never talked about before. Maybe you've never even thought about before. Like, what the heck does money and my childhood and the mailbox and the this, that, and the other have to do with, my finances? And it has so much to do with our finances, because there's a lot of psychology that's wrapped up into our money and our finances and the decision and the relationship that we have with the two of those. So I have some great stuff ready to share with you guys today. Um, we're gonna like give this a go and see. Can you guys see my PowerPoint here?
Yep.
Yes.
Good. Okay. Thank you. So I can't see your faces. Teams has sometimes, in my opinion, some limited capabilities in terms of what we can and can't do and can and can't see. So I'm going to ask for your enthusiastic participation. Some of this might be old news to you. Some of this might be new concepts to you. I just ask that we all listen with open ears and open hearts and open minds. and a level of humility, because we may learn something new or see something from a different perspective or spark a different idea. Some of these things that I'm sharing with you, I had no idea about any of it until I came into the financial industry, even though I worked in corporate America for all those years. And even though I, had, as I call it, like this college education, but the stuff we're going to review tonight are these really important financial concepts they never taught us in school, but totally should have. So Tony, little homage to the 80s here, if you can notice, the totally in the background. But, this is the stuff that they should have taught us. In my opinion, the reason that they don't teach the masses this information is because then the 2% will no longer be the 2%. And when people are empowered when it comes to their finances, they make different decisions when it comes to their finances. So we're going to go over some of this stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I would ask that we keep them real high level questions. So, for instance, hey, can you walk through this a little bit further? I don't really understand, as opposed to, I have a grandfather and he told me this, and this. I certainly am happy to, in the chat on Slack or after here, have a conversation with you guys. But just for the sake of time, let's go ahead and keep it high level. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. All right, so tonight's topics, we're going to discuss budget versus wealth. And I'm glad that Odie had brought that up in the beginning, the difference between the two. Wants versus needs. Pay yourself first and the high cost of waiting. The rule of 72 and why interest rates matter. Intentional spending and paying down debt. And putting things into action. Now, if you look at this list and say, I have no idea what any of that means, great. If you look at this list and say, oh yeah, I know all of those things, great. My whole thing is that, like, let's just take one little nugget, because just like anything else, we're not going to learn it all here today, but just take one little nugget that we want to walk away with today. So real quickly, high level again, if some people weren't on last week, but I am a financial planner and a personal empowerment coach. I am a resident of the Cleveland-ish, Ohio area. I am not personally affected by the things that are happening in East Palestine, Ohio directly. I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours from there. I am a wife and a dog mom. My personal motto is lead with your heart, not your head. Our heads get in the way and tell us all kinds of things. I think that there's a balance between the two. I'm a big sister and a board member of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Lorain County. I'm a member of council in my local community, and I am what I call a personal connector. So I always like to connect people together with, whether it's someone I think would be in a good relationship, so to speak, personally or professionally, or someone that could provide value or need with someone else. So this money stuff can feel like really confusing. I don't know if you guys have ever looked like this guy before, when someone's starting to talk about money, where your eyes glaze over and you're like, what the heck is going on? And you feel like you're the only person in the room that doesn't know what's going on. Please know I was that guy. I just sort of, and a mix of that girl in front. I don't think she really knows what's going on either. She's just sort of nodding her head. So just know that it's okay if you feel confused and if you feel like this is uncertain. If maybe some of those money isms that we talked about last time come up for you, I don't understand math, or I'm not good at saving or finance, just know that that's your old story. That's not your story going forward, because you have a great financial friend in me, and a cheerleader and a champion in Odie, and we want you guys to succeed. I want everyone to succeed. So most people don't plan to fail, they fail to plan. Has anybody ever heard this phrase before?
Absolutely.
Right? So we sit in the center here, and we've got all kinds of different things. Maybe we have mortgage or rent, we've got credit cards, we've got different loans, life insurance, mutual funds, savings account, 401k, bank accounts. Maybe you have some of these, all of these, none of these. None of us want to fail. And I use the term fail relatively. None of us want to fail, but what we do is we don't take the time, the commitment, and the discipline to actually plan otherwise. So if we have no plan, that's just as good as planning to fail. So what I, again, want to do is set you up for success when it comes to your confidence, your competence, and your accessibility to money, wealth, and finances. So here's the good news. Whatever it is, you can. You can do it. You can get out of debt. Maybe that was part of your money story. Maybe that was one of the isms